Hello, beloveds. Welcome to your first quarter moon reading. I am your host, Miramai. Welcome, blessings from Bali. We're going to dive into all of the themes and the energies that are presenting around this first quarter moon, which is very much about actioning the intentions that we placed on the new moon. And there's so many celestial happenings right now, so many planets in retrograde. And yet, one of the things that I can really sense is I'm starting to feel Mercury going towards shadow, meaning that, or maybe it already is, I'm just starting to feel the lessening of the effects of Mercury retrograde. But what I am feeling is the increase of the eclipse that's coming in September. So, I always love to hear what's happening for you. Of course, how these readings, how they resonate or don't resonate with you, what it brings up for you, and maybe any inspiration along the way, anything that feels relevant to share. Would love to hear that. Drop it in the comments. And without further ado, we start to call in an alignment with the highest truth, with the messages and revelations that will help us to align to our highest timeline and present ourselves in an authentic way, bringing fulfillment, bringing truth and purpose alive in our life, and calling on the support to reveal that in this message here today, particularly around this lunar cycle. So be it. So we're working with 3 streams of intelligence here. So that means that there are 3 different card layouts. The first card is your highest timeline. It's what you have set the intention for with the new moon. The second row is about what may be the challenge, what may be where most of our energy needs to be focused, and can also be the distraction, if you will. And then we have the medicine, or the practical methods, applications that will help us to fulfill that highest timeline. And just because the way that I have this set up, I have to just show you what the totem is. And according to the totem, you will choose according to the totem. And the totem represents each stream of intelligence, 1, 2, or 3. So with our first stream of intelligence, we have this beautiful blue obsidian. So that's stream 1. Stream 2 is the tiger's eye. Let's say tourmalated tiger's eye. Stream 3 is a Rudraksha bead. It's actually not a bead, it's just a Rudraksha seed. 1 is the blue obsidian. 2 is the tiger's eye. 3 is the Rudraksha seed. So without further ado, we're going to start to call in the energy for 1. Looking at the timeline that you have created. This is a potent time for you. The timeline that you're calling in, and I don't see this card often, so I'm gonna reference it. This is from the Earth Warriors deck, and it is the Aloha Ke Akua, and that means blessing of supreme being. So this is the intention that you have set. When I look at this, I see like the balance of masculine and feminine, heart activation, womb activation, throat activation, and that leading to a metamorphosis through understanding. You can see the butterfly on the crown there. You can see the as above, so below. So there's a balancing of duality that you've called in. It says Hawaiian wisdom recognizes that the divine is love. The supreme being from which all life emanates manifests a blessing for you. The realm of the heart is love's temple. When you enter the heart, you gain access to the Great One and to mana, the power, authority, grace, and magnetism to manifest your divinity and destiny. Trust in what is meant for you. Surrender doubt and disconnection in favor of love and respect for the Great One, and you shall live your true destiny with joy in your heart. Love can and will conquer all. I was hearing conquer. I was hearing conquering the imbalance between left and right, masculine, feminine, up and down, conquering something there. So it's interesting that that word ended up being used here. This also says blessings will come to you now and that things don't have to be complicated. When you are confusing yourself with too many variables, too much information, fear and doubt, focus on filling your heart with love and let everything else go. The other thing that's coming forward is if you're not familiar with the chocolate shaman, Keith, of Keith's Cacao, bless and rest his soul. There is a meditation that he coined, and I would highly recommend going to that meditation. And I'll drop it in the comments to make it an easy link. At the moment, I'm blanking on the name of the Go to Glow meditation. You can search that, but I'll also drop it in the comments. This will be a good practice for you right now. And I won't go into details, just recommend doing the practice. It's like 10 minutes. This also says that rather than making you passive, that having faith that Spirit will handle all the matters will inspire you to take only the most helpful actions. And that this indicates a prayer that is being answered and a situation of concern being covered. And then the card that follows this is the challenge, is the giveaway. And the giveaway is about just what this is talking about, is like letting go. Whatever this is, I get a feeling that maybe it could be a person, it could be a situation, but this almost feels a little bit more abstract than that. It feels like the rumination or obsessive thinking maybe that you have had around a situation, the fear of losing something, the fear of losing someone, is asking you to release that, to give that away, to give away what is most precious to you, which a lot of time what's precious to us is control, which gives us a sense of safety. There may actually be a person that you're being asked to let go of. I know I personally went through a recent transition after I had left a very deep, meaningful relationship, that I actually had to let go of my idea that I want to have a partner in this life. And it's more about just the willingness to say, you know what, here's what I want, but I'm not going to obsess over it, and I'm going to let myself go into the place of, okay, if you don't have a partner for me in this life, Spirit, then that's okay. I trust what you do have for me. That's more of what I feel illustrated by this giveaway card. The number 23 feels significant too, so keep an eye out for the number 23. The execution, they're using the word execution of fulfilling this highest timeline. You need to call on this energy. You can call on actual Archangel Michael, or you can call on this authority in yourself, this divine authority, this sovereignty, to cut away and clear any of the cording that may be causing the suffering and causing you to repeat this cycle. So it can be according to a person, but it also can be according to an identity that you've carried, a story that you've carried, a thought form you've created. When we obsessively think and have a charge around something, it actually can create its own, the energy becomes coagulated to the point where it can start to gather its own consciousness. And it becomes a thought form. I'm not going to go super deep into that, but essentially you can start to manifest what you're thinking. And if it's a negative thing, if it's a like compulsive, toxic idea, then you can start to manifest that and attract that and see that. And this feels short and simple and to the point that it's time to really go back to that intention of letting things go completely and to dissolve any resistance that you have of surrender, of trust and faith, and instilling more faith in your practice. And guarding the temple of your heart against becoming clouded by fear or lack of forgiveness. The purity and strength of your heart flow from your loving relationship with the Supreme Being. Whatever your image of that being may be, allow yourself to trust in your divine relationship unconditionally, and your affairs will work out beautifully. So this is the leap of, it's not quite the leap of faith, but it's the surrender of your littleness to something so much greater, so much more advanced, so much more intelligent, so much more capacitated than you may be in this moment. And the trust that in admitting that and humbling in that way, that you then will receive the resources that are needed and the reflection of your own power that comes through that kind of partnership with the divine. So number 1, the blue obsidian. Blessings to you in your path of the giveaway and divine communion. Stream number 2. We have 33, Child of the Light. Wow. So stream number 2 was the terminated Tiger's Eye. Here you have Master number 33, Intikana, Child of the Light. What do you get from this card? You see the full lunar cycle here. I'm curious when you go back even to, I get the last full moon. What was the breakdown there? What did you really understand and receive during that last full moon that is bringing you into an initiation of prophecy? Those are the words. Yeah, you're likely some kind of light worker, some kind of dreamer. There's a dream catcher here in it, and it's like a bridging between heaven and earth. So what is it that occurred around that last full moon that's advancing you and showing you more of your power and calling you into the discipline to be skilled in whatever is revealed now, and like these new fruits that you're bearing? There is a divine light that does not cast a shadow, nor does it cast judgment. Even though it reveals truth, a truth that is sometimes hard to acknowledge and requires that we change our ways. True divine light is healing, it is unifying, it brings hope, and it illumines the way. Other sorts of light exist on this planet that are not so pure, nor so helpful. Those sorts of light may appear stunningly bright, yet in effect create separation and increased ego. You can recognize genuine divine presence not by how dazzling it may appear at first, but by what your devotion to that divine light evokes in your heart and your world. Trust your feelings over appearances. Move away from influences that create fear, negativity, doubt. Reach out for that which uplifts your heart. Spiritual protection is being offered. Refuse to be dazzled by ego masquerading as something spiritual. Through your prayers and efforts, spiritual light has been accumulating on the inner planes, even though you may not sense accumulating on the inner planes. Even though you may not sense that consciously as yet. There will be an intersection of events and circumstances in your physical world through which that light shall pour forth and manifest itself as grace. Continue with your spiritual devotion. There is something truly good to come of it. So there's probably a little bit of shadow work that you have been diving into, and I imagine that might have been a piece that was coming in with that last full moon, and you might be starting to use that wisdom to separate some of your shadow behaviors and thoughts from the increasing light of consciousness that you are starting to perceive and to anchor. And the mystical shaman is about being a mystery to yourself. So a lot of the time when we're in these periods of growth, especially when we've just gone through a completion cycle where we've let go of an identity, or we've let go of something big in our life that there was a lot of identity and value that was defining us and defining our life, we can tend to go into our mind or into fantasy and go, oh, well, that happened because this is coming in, or because I'm becoming that, or this is going to do this for me. There is a very fine line between aligning with a destiny and receiving vision and cognizant understanding of the sequential nature of that process, and us going so far out in our mind that we're fantasizing and we're kind of distracted from actually the continued beingness in the moment that creates the future presence. So it requires us to be present in the here and now and aware of what state of being am I in order to be invested in the growth of the future. So essentially the mystical shaman is like, if you're nothing, you can be everything. Once you start defining who and what you are, then you become limited to only operate within those realms, within that identity. So this is an invitation to go really quantum, to get outside of maybe the way that you have constructed your identity before. It's like, oh, well, I'm a CEO. Immediately, that boxes you in and identifies you with a certain set of rules, a certain presentation. And now, what if Spirit wants you to be more than a CEO? What if your life's destiny is so much more advanced than that? What if it's crafted so individually and so uniquely that it can't be placed in that box? That's what Spirit wants you to get out of, is looking at that habit. Maybe even that's a little bit, there's some kind of shadow behavior that's linked in with that, of too much defining, too much sculpting with the mind, and not enough sense of, wow, how am I being in this moment? And then if there's a vision that comes from that, if there's cognizance that comes from that, that's one thing. It's another thing when we're getting too much in the dream and not enough connected with the inspiration. And inspiration is something that comes all the way through. It doesn't necessarily come from a product of thinking. And your action, or your action, your practical method of stabilizing this highest timeline of awakening more light within and more awareness of yourself as the light of consciousness. Again, that 33 is a master number. So your mastery. The card that comes in, it says, if you get nervous, focus on service. So maybe you're kind of in this quest, this in between, where you're like, all right, I'm becoming something new, but I don't really know what it is yet. And instead of trying to become it, just be. What am I being? What am I being? And this is a great card. I love this card. It is, when we start to focus on ourselves, we can fall out of alignment, because everyone's singular purpose is to contribute to the whole. Everyone's purpose is to operate with awareness, consciousness, consideration, and cooperation of the whole. So if you're getting really in your mind and kind of like worked up about where, what, how, step back, get into your beingness. How do you feel? And then what can you do to be in service of someone around you, something around you? Especially if you feel stuck, if you're feeling depressed, if you're feeling scared, stop focusing on yourself. It's like the quickest way. And like nobody tells you this. You want out of depression? Go focus on somebody else. Go serve somebody else. If you want out of a rut, if you're afraid, go offer your time, your energy, your resources to someone who needs help. Not only are you going to feel better, you're going to put yourself back into the flow of alignment. And when you're back in the flow of alignment, inspiration, epiphanies occur. And then you start to receive, right? As we give, so we receive. So, number 2, terminated tiger's eye. I see you in your mastery. I welcome you to let go of being so in control of designing your destiny and being more curious like a child, of waking up like, wow, today is Christmas. I wonder what is possible. Like you can dream of what might be under the tree, but there's no way of knowing, and you don't get fixated on it. And then if you find that you're getting into that, where you're just like becoming neurotic about going and getting your present from under the tree, go play with something you already have, or go make a meal with somebody. Go share. I know that analogy just kind of got a little muddy, but you see where I'm going. Number 3, Rudraksha seed. Number 3, you have the Chakana. So you're, it's a time to cross the threshold for you. You have been preparing for this for quite some time, and that this is going to be, you may even have a breakthrough where you might be receiving some kind of partnership. Well, you will be receiving a partnership. This is a partnership with the beloved. It's the partnership that it may manifest with another person. It may not. Has that been on your heart? Has that been on your mind? Maybe that's the kind of love that you meet with someone else, but maybe you've just been searching for feeling that in your own heart on a daily basis. Maybe you've been just searching for having that sense of inner union. sometimes we can go through these periods, especially, things are so chaotic right now in the world. It's easy to get dislodged from the heart and to get stuck in lower functions, and then we lose like the whole purpose of being a human, being alive, feeling really heart-centered and connected, having feeling. So the Chicana appears as a threshold, and it brings an ending so complete that it is no longer possible to return to what has been. The light of the stars is your faithful guide into this new world. As you trust in your divine connection, deconstructed forms shall reshape themselves into relevant, helpful, and beautiful new ways of living, thriving, and expressing your true self. Trust in your strangest ideas, in that which is different, inspired, or unconventional. This crossing is healing and furthers the activation of your divine potential. This is a time of big change. We also have the Quetzal here. We have the hummingbird. So this is a time to take higher perspective, higher view. And it sounds like for some of you, this may be the closing of a relationship. This may be the end of what I get the feeling of, this is the end of a long cycle. This may be like a long-term relationship or a long-term cycle that is repeated with many partners. This could also be with like a habit. It could be with a job. It could be with some form of relating. The thing is that the architecture of relationship is mirrored in every relationship, right? If you don't have boundaries for yourself, you'll see that you also don't have boundaries for your money. You don't have boundaries with partners. You don't have boundaries with resources, and you don't have boundaries in your body or with your mind. So this is some long cycle that you're being asked to give up and to really trust that it's time. You've probably tried to do this many times. You've probably known about this or come up against it probably 100 times over. And it's time to really trust it and to do the thing you haven't done yet, which is probably fully let go, fully accept. It says trust in what is new, different, or exciting to you. So there's some new development that's coming in, but you may not have created the space for that to happen because you might be holding on to something. I really get like this has to do with lovership. This has to do with a person. Even the card that comes in as like the challenge is the beloved. So I'm just going to reference a little bit more of what this says in here. The invitation is to accept and learn through the path of love. Expand your being through union with another. When you recognize the beloved in another, you call forth their highest and purest nature. Follow the path of love. And the beloved is the recognition of a spirit in another and moving towards spirit through the other. It is when the divine appears to us in the form of our child, our partner, our friend, our coworker, our strangers, and we experience being in love. As we grow, we start to recognize the beloved in everyone, not confusing their personality with their divine nature. Your practical application is to work with Archangel Michael to let go of what no longer serves you. And again, you can call in Archangel Michael, or you can call in this energy, this authority, this divine will within you to separate gently. That's a key word. Use the word gently, to separate you gently from that which no longer serves you. And I feel like there's a little bit more to take a look at. This speaks about You are guided to reject societal norms about how you are supposed to live or what sort of things you're supposed to value. Instead, trust your own values and believe in the truths that you feel within your own heart. In time, the world will be ready to recognize and benefit from your spiritual growth. The universe is helping you in all ways, including through correct timing. At the right moment, you will leave the past behind, enter the fullness of the present, and open to the brightness of your future. Hallelujah. Dearly beloveds, I hope that you found this grounding and centering and hopeful. And if you did find it any of that or more, please, I always appreciate the likes and sharing. Subscribe if you want to jump in for more next week. I do these every week on full moon, new moon, last quarter moon, and first quarter moon. So may the guiding light be with you always. And until we meet again, stay pure and keep it simple. Pura vida.